Hello, hello. This is Hunter McDermott with another episode of Guitar Blog. This is episode 22. It is Friday, January 3rd, 2020. So, Happy New Year to everyone. So let's see. Big thing, I think, is books. I have a bunch of books now. So, I had previously owned um, Volume 3 of the Barry Galbraith Jazz Guitar Study series, which I have decided to start officially going through. I had started on the F Blues stuff, but then I found out on closer inspection that the book is actually graded as you go. It gets a little bit more complex and kind of builds on itself as you go. So I'm going to go back. I'm going back and just starting with the first one, called Shiny, which is based on Shiny Stockings, I think. So my approach is, in this case, the song form is 12 bars or so. So I'm just working on one chorus. So just learning those 12 bars, getting them down, and then taking the time to write out all the various chord forms that are shown in there. So what's cool is that I feel like I know a lot of chords, but when I go through this and write these all out, there are quite a few shapes that I don't use. Quite a few that I do, but maybe used in a different way, like using what I would consider a major 7 shape as like a minor 9 chord, stuff like that. So just it's benefiting me both by exposing me to new chord shapes and by exposing me to new ways to use chord shapes I already know. So I'm going to keep doing that. The pieces at the beginning are also shorter, so I'm already a quarter of the way through the first one, and that came pretty fast. So that's also good because I'm reading. So I'm working on my reading stuff. So I think I finished all the way up to chapter 8 of the music reading book that I was going through, and I feel like I've gotten a ton of valuable stuff out of going through that. But with a bunch of the books that I've acquired requiring me to read standard notation strictly, more or less, I'm gonna put that book on the shelf for now and just focus on reading and learning this new stuff. So I think it makes sense. It's gonna continue to build on my practice of working on reading, just reading different material. So anyway, the other thing is I acquired the rest of the series. So a couple of these were gifts. A couple of these were gifts to myself, from myself. So I'm especially excited about the number 2, the daily exercises for melodic minor and harmonic minor modes, because those are two things that I really haven't spent a whole lot of time practicing. I don't really know them all that well. I've spent plenty of time like going through the shapes, going through the patterns, but then I don't ever use them in practice. So I'm excited to pick that up and work through some of this stuff and start to take, especially the melodic minor, well, both of them really, and applying them to altered dominance and stuff like that. Things that come up a lot in a lot of standards. So I'm going to be working on that one as well. And then the other 3, the third, let's see, what is this? The 4th and the 5th one are pretty cool because they come with CDs. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way how to rip those CDs so I can actually use them. But this one is all about solos. So it's just Barry Galbraith wrote a bunch of solos over chord progressions that are common to standards, the same as the other book, where like I'm assuming this is in a sentimental mood or I'm getting sentimental over you, one or the other. And some other ones in here. There's Summertime, and then just like a blues, My Funny Valentine, things like that. But so he's got it notated out, these different solos that are composed to kind of outline different, improvisation techniques and things like that. Now this one is provided with tablature, so that's not going to help me quite as much on the reading, though I'm going to try to just avoid using the tablature where I can. But I think the Galbraith series in general has a lot to do with, partly to do with fingering, like for Barry Galbraith teaching you how to approach fingering different things. So reading the tablature might actually be useful in that case because he tells you exactly where to play it and doesn't leave it up to interpretation, which is specifically where the first book comes in, the fingerboard workbook, where he's helping you go through some pieces that are based around a chord type, or a scale type rather. So, and then he's giving you explicit fingerings and stuff, and showing you how to jump from arpeggios to different positions and stuff like that. So I think that'll be cool. That'll be good stuff for warm up and continue to read. And then Volume 4 doesn't, it didn't really interest me when I first heard about it, because I guess as much as I do genuinely love the music of Bach, but it's just not something I had really considered. But in hindsight, I think it'll be really great. I remember working on some Franz Wolfart stuff with my old teacher when I was learning my major scale shapes, and that was fantastic because those things are just like straight eighth notes running you through basically scale exercises, but written as composed pieces. So you're getting a lot out of the mechanical aspects of playing the piece and learning your shapes, but also it's a piece of music, so you can then play that, and it's not just an exercise. So that's what Barry is doing here, is that he's taking the Bach's two-part inventions, the first 15 of them anyway, and arranging them for guitar. I guess they were originally written for cello or maybe violin, I'm not actually sure. But so he's got both parts, so that's also another cool thing, is that it's a duet thing. So if you had another person, you could play with them, or that's where the CD comes in handy, because it's got all of them played, I think, with both guitars, so you just pick a side and then you play one of the other parts. And then that will, again, be purely standard notation, so that'll help me with my reading and playing in different positions and stuff, because these are quite varied. A lot of stuff really high, a lot of stuff really low, plenty of stuff in the middle, and I think the positions are provided for you, Barry's recommended positions, so that'll be good too. So again, I'm putting the reading method book that I was using on pause, and I'm instead just going to run through a bunch of stuff that will have me reading a lot, but learning new material and just a different thing, not so much introducing me to new stuff. So then the other two are, I picked up a couple of Omni Books, the Charlie Parker Omni Book, which I've been eyeing every single time I go to a music store that has it. This stuff is really great. So I've started working on Au Privave, just kind of building on the stuff from the Jazz Blues Accelerator course that I was already doing, taking it the next step and working on these solos. So these are also in standard notation, and that's practicing, giving me plenty of practice on my reading, and then they just sound cool. And then the main thing is learning material, so hearing licks and phrases that I really like, and I want to take those and isolate them and learn them and translate them and transpose them into different keys and stuff like that. And then lastly, I was not quite sure about this one, but I picked up the Joe Pass Omni Book, which isn't actually what I thought it was. For some reason, I thought it would be full song transcriptions, which would include some of his solo stuff, so I could kind of get a better sense for how he approaches chord melody and stuff like that. But it's actually just like the Bird Omni Book, where it's just solos. So it'll start at 53 seconds, and then here's where Joe plays a solo. And it's from material from various records like Chops and Intercontinental, and there is some of the stuff from Virtuoso in here. There's a lot of stuff in here. Anyway, this is good, but I don't know if I'll get to this anytime soon. I probably could have held off, because it's just taking me a little bit away. I don't know, maybe not, because he's a great bebop player, and you can certainly learn a lot from his solos as well. So I don't know. We'll see how much use I get out of this in the near future. But that's a cool book, and it's also got tablature, which might be handy in cases where fingering is nebulous. So, been trying not to get overwhelmed with the amount of material. I didn't need to purchase all of these books. Again, some of them were gifts, some of them I bought for myself. The Barry Galbraith books in particular are not terribly expensive, so picking up one or two of those is pretty economical, and I just wanted to have the whole series. But so my focus points now are to work on reading pretty much across the board. So just about everything I do, I want to be working on reading it a little bit as a way to acquire the material. So it's definitely going to work through the comping book, because I've been really neglecting comping practice, but focusing mostly on single note stuff. So I want to really just absorb as much stuff as I can from the comping book. I really want to do the harmonic and melodic minor stuff, just increasing my scale vocabulary, which I think will help give me greater insight into how to play over a lot of alter dominant type stuff, and harmonic minor being generally useful, especially in Latin tunes. And then the Charlie Parker Omni Book. Those are probably the big three as a way to learn actual solos and pick material out to then take and learn in different keys. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on. So I think one of them is kind of like a technical exercise, one is really comping based, and one is more single line based. So I'm kind of covering a broad range of stuff there, stuff that I want to cover. And then throughout all of those, I'm working on reading, so that's good. We will see how that goes, but I'm going to put a few of these on the shelf and pick them back up later, but try to get through these others at least somewhat. But so that takes me to the approach for this year, I guess, or from this point forward till further notice. I finished the Learn Jazz Standards Jazz Blues Accelerator course. So that proved to be a really, really great course. So I would recommend anybody who's interested in not getting a ton of new material. So like these books are great for material, but that course was really better for giving you a structure way to practice and to acquire a new stuff and really, really get it in your ears and under your fingers by just repeating stuff a lot of different times and then taking it into different keys and stuff like that. And then you've got other people in the course with you, so you're providing feedback for them and getting feedback, and that's useful. Always good to feel like you're not alone in whatever you're plowing through. So that was a really great course, and I'm glad I went through it. And I definitely feel like my blues playing is improved, right? I guess I want to go back to the video I did when I was first starting to work on the course, or right before I started, to see how it changed. But I think by and large I've picked up some bebop stuff. I played over I'll do this in this video. I'll play over a 12-bar blues in all 12 keys. I'll just go through the whole cycle. There are definitely keys that I'm more comfortable with than others, but I think you'll hear, I hope, some vocab coming out, some stuff that sounds like I know what I'm doing, and I'm doing it on purpose because I think it sounds good. So that's good, and that's an improvement. That's where I want to do way more of. So that was good to kind of get an introduction into how to acquire that stuff, and now I'm seeing it come out in my playing, and that's really the name of the game. I want to hear things that I like and acquire them, and then have them in some form or another come out in my playing. That's really all that I want to do forever, from now on. Just want to keep improving and adding new material. So that's why I'm focusing on a lot of these books, and not worrying so much about the courses and stuff. I had said that I might start diving into the Richie Zellen thing, but I think what I really need to do instead of going after the next course or the next method is to get away from that stuff for a while. And go right to the source material, right? I listen to Bird play and I hear a lick that I really like, and that gets me excited about playing. And so that's all that I really need right there is to recognize that that's something I really like. And then I have the ability through reading or through transcribing by ear, and certainly transposing by ear, to put that material into different keys and then practice it. And I now kind of have a sense for how that process works. So that's really the next goal. That's the thing I want to be spending my time doing. When I think about it, like when I talk to people who I consider to be serious jazz musicians, or people I follow online or whatever, this is what they do. This is all they talk about really all the time is, hey, here's how to play like John Scofield, or here's this cool Freddie Hubbard lick that I learned, or whatever. Like that's what they're doing. They're listening to music and they're acquiring it. So I need to stop going, oh, don't give me that. Let me go over here to this guy who promises to teach me jazz, right? I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but I don't need that right now. I am past being told how to do things, and now I just need to learn on my own from what I like. That's the hope and the plan, right? Yeah, so I think that's about it. I'm gonna keep focusing on that stuff. I got done with the course. I think it was really cool. I recommend it. I think you should check it out. Um, Other than that, I got a new pick. I don't know if I like it. So real quick on the picks. Let's see. I've been using the Jazz. It's called the Jazz Pick by a brand called Pick Boy. And I like these a lot because they're kind of like the Jazz 3 pick, the Jim Dunlop, but they're larger. So if you can kind of see, there's this other pick that's about the Jazz 3 size, and then the white one is the Pick Boy. So it's a little bit larger. And then one thing that I've really come to appreciate is the fact that it's not beveled. It's just a stubby, normal pick, right? It's round. And I like that for the tone. It doesn't give you a sharp tone the same way that a bevel does, in my estimation. But I had previously purchased these Acrolux. These are D'Addario Acrolux. This is the Nitra one, which is supposed to be more mellow. And then I recently picked up the Acrolux Rezo by D'Addario. Same series, just these are made of a different material that is brighter. It's a little harder, I guess. So I don't know. I'm messing around with it, but really I like the Pick Boy because it's a little larger, it's a little softer, and I can use it across all my guitars. So like I use it for acoustic and electric, and it feels good and it sounds good. And there's absolutely no reason why I need to find a new pick, but you know how it is. Picks are just cheap enough where you're like, ooh, I'll spend a few bucks and try these out. So that's what I'm trying out right now. But in all likelihood, I will go back to the Pick Boy because these have been really, really great for like the past year. And again, the reason I don't care so much for the Acrolux is that they're beveled. They're kind of filed down, which is impossible to see. But anyway, they're kind of filed down to a sharper point, and which gives you just kind of a weaker, it's punchier, if that's what you like. But it's not what I like. But now I'm in a position where I've got the Telly set up with these nice Tomastic infilled round wound strings that are really mellow. I'm using the bridge. I got the tone way down. I'm running through the Hendrickson, which has got I've EQ'd to be more bass heavy. So I'm really happy with the tone of the guitar in general, and it doesn't so much matter what the pick is now, right? So I'm very, very pleased with this amp and with this guitar and these strings, and I've got a good setup going right now. And it doesn't seem to really matter too much what pick I use, but I'm messing with these for now. All right, so anyway, that's it for stuff I've been thinking about and working on. What I think it would be fun to do is, as I get through complete solos or exercises or comping stuff, I'd like to play it. So right now I know parts of Shiny, but I want to learn the whole thing, and then come to the blog and play it, just for my own purposes, so that I know that I'm getting through this material all the way and not just crapping out halfway through like I tend to do with stuff. So I think I'll finish with a few minutes of some jazz blues. So we're going to start in C, and we're going to go around the circle by fourths, and we'll just do 12 choruses, one for each one. Like I said, the big thing is there are certain keys that I can play better than others, so what I'm going to try to do generally is not feel like I have to hit every single thing, and play, try to play more musically and string things together and not worry about like missing changes or whatever. So anyway, here we go. Let's start in C. You know, not terrible, not too great, but not too bad. There's some stuff in there that I'm really pleased with. Usually that comes about when I have taken a pause, right? I've taken a breath and I'm thinking and I know where I am. And I feel that natural push to play something. So that's good. That's where I want to be, and want to be doing way more of and way less of the rest of what happened there, which is struggling to keep up with the changes. Like, oh, here comes D flat. I kind of know where D flat is. I need to hit something there. And the answer is you don't. You don't need to hit something there. So if you feel uncomfortable with that section, then just skip it, right? Your solo will sound way better, and no one will go, he doesn't know D flat, because it won't matter. Anyway, that's my tip. Cool. So anyway, yeah, happy 2020. Getting started with some new material. Having finished some stuff at the end of the year, that feels good. Got this new amp. You know, got a good start to the year, I think. So I'll keep rolling and running through some of this stuff. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Later.